Chapter 53-35. Rumble. Innumerable divine power transformed into a powerful attack that attacked the white eagle in the sky. The eagle let out a deafening screech. And Yuer and the rest were weaker and were immediately affected. They quickly used their divine energy to protect themselves. Boom, boom. The eagle was like an island as it flew over their heads. Its speed was so fast that it made them feel like a gust of wind was blowing past them. When the divine energy landed on the eagle, it only managed to knock off a large number of feathers and didn't cause much damage to the eagle. This strange thing is really powerful, Lei Gong said solemnly. This eagle is transformed from a jade scepter and is already a divine beast. Moreover, it has the ability to absorb the power of divinity. Unless the power of divinity far surpasses it, the power of divinity's attacks will only become stronger and stronger. I personally suggest that we use another type of attack. Qing Zhu was from the Chaos Realm and had seen many things. However, her expression was somewhat solemn. After all, there were also such divine artifacts in the Chaotic Realm, but they were very rare. However, once there was a divine artifact in the Chaotic Realm, there would definitely be a calamity on that side. Let me do it. Saint Yi floated up and controlled the Donghuang bell. He then used the opportunity when the eagle was flying over to suppress it. Boom. As expected, Saint Yi's Donghuang bell was very effective. It smashed the eagle to the ground like a mountain. The Donghuang bell was a chaos divine artifact, so it was naturally of a higher grade than the Jade Rui. Ya. The eagle that was pressed down on the ground continued to struggle, letting out a sharp cry that was deafening to the ears. However, it gradually calmed down and eventually, the screech disappeared. Saint Yi recalled the Donghuang bell and saw that the ferocious eagle was nowhere to be seen. All that was left was a broken Jade Rui. This Jade Rui is probably useless now. Even if it was repaired, the materials needed would be extremely rare. Qing Zhu walked over and checked the Jade Rui. Why did the Jade Rui turn into a divine beast all of a sudden? Lei Gong frowned. He felt that the 7th floor was very strange. Could it be that all the divine artifacts on the 7th floor will turn into divine beasts? Everyone's expression changed slightly. If that was the case, then the 7th floor would be terrifying. After all, this was the 7th floor. There would definitely be a lot of divine weapons. If they all transformed into such terrifying divine beasts, then this floor would definitely be much more dangerous than the 6th floor. Everything will be clear once we find the god of the 7th floor. Lin Ling suggested. Everyone nodded and continued forward. Sure enough, not long after, they encountered another divine artifact that had transformed into a divine beast. This time, the divine artifact was an ancient cauldron. The cauldron had transformed into a huge divine turtle. This divine turtle was obviously much stronger than the eagle from before. Even if everyone worked together, they couldn't gain an advantage over it. In the end, Lin Ling had to unleash the power of his physical body to kill the divine turtle. After 2 battles, Lin Ling and the others also knew that this kind of god beast was not afraid of the power of God. Unless the power of God could surpass the god beast by a lot, not only would it not be able to kill it, it would also make the god beast grow stronger day by day. The best way was to use the divine artifact to fight it. The second best was to use other powers, such as the power of the physical body or the power of the world's will. Damn, it's just a beast. It actually wants us to use the power of the world's will. Lei Gong and the others were extremely unhappy. The power of the world's will was their trump card, but they had to use it against a small monster. This was too degrading. This is nothing. What's worrying is how many of these divine beasts there are on the 7th floor. If the entire 7th floor is filled with them, then we'll be in trouble. Lin Ling frowned and reminded them solemnly. Everyone's expression changed. If they encountered a single divine beast, they could easily kill it if they worked together, but what if there were a large number of them? Just thinking about it was terrifying. Junior brother, immediately find the god of the 7th floor and ask them to find out. Qing Zhu reminded. The gods of the giant god clan on the 7th floor are mostly gathered in a place called Moon Creek Floating Island. Zhu Chuan looked at Lin Ling and said, He knew that everyone's top priority was to find the Giant God Clan, and the Giant God Clan had always been mysterious. Even on the 6th floor, they were an extremely mysterious existence, let alone on the 7th floor. Let's find a place with people first, Lin Ling suggested. As soon as he arrived, he used his soul power to investigate. However, he discovered that the 7th floor was vast and boundless. His soul power, which could envelop the entire universe, could not sense the end of it. Therefore, in this situation, finding people was the most important. Everyone quickened their pace and advanced along the fairyland-like 7th floor. Rumble. At this time, another earth-shattering aura appeared in the distance. Then, they saw a divine beast that was thousands of miles tall and looked like an island slowly advancing. This divine beast's origin could not be discerned at all. One could only see that its body was like an island, but its limbs were like that of a giant elephant. Every step it took shook the world. As for its head and other parts, they were hidden in the clouds, so they could not be seen at all. What kind of divine beast is this? It's too big. Everyone was shocked. They could even see that there were a large number of divine beasts living on that island-like body. Let's go around it. Lin Ling led the group and took a detour. No one knew how strong those demonic beasts from before were. If they were to clash, it would be extremely disadvantageous for Lin Ling's group. After advancing for a long time, Lin Ling's group encountered several waves of divine beasts. But this time, they did not want to waste time, so they stealthily avoided them. Sir, wait. Not long after, they finally met several gods. On the surface, these gods did not seem to be members of the deity race. Instead, they seemed to be loose cultivators. We are gods who have just arrived on the 7th floor. We would like to ask what happened here and why there are so many divine beasts. Green Bamboo represented Lin Ling's group to ask the questions. Her attitude was extremely polite. And these gods were all at the late-stage Cosmos Giant God level. They looked at Lin Ling's group strangely because they could see that Lin Ling's group did not even have the strength of a late-stage Cosmos Giant God. With such strength, they were not qualified to come to the 7th floor. Of course, there was another possibility, and that was that these people had some background. The 7th floor is also known as the floor of the gods. Here, not only are there gods from the various superpowers of the universe, there are also countless divine beasts. These divine beasts are transformed from deity weapons. And these deity weapons have an ancient origin. According to legend, they have existed since the beginning of the universe. After hearing the great Tao, they transformed into divine beasts and went against us gods. You guys are considered lucky that you did not encounter any powerful divine beasts. Otherwise, you guys would have been completely annihilated. Sweeping a glance at Lin Ling's group, these gods said, if you want to survive, it's best to go to places with holy light. Those places are places where divine beasts do not dare to approach. They are also places where gods gather. If you want to know something, it'll be easy to pursue it there. Thank you, everyone. Green Bamboo hurriedly expressed her gratitude. No need to thank us. The direction is south from here. It's just that this road is bumpy. Whether you can reach there will depend on your luck. The leading god with a fluttering white beard said. Lin Ling's group bade farewell and then headed south. After the god's reminder, they finally understood how terrifying the floor of the gods was. Chapter 53:36. They didn't encounter any danger along the way. Not long after, light shot into the sky ahead. It was extremely dazzling. Before they even got close, everyone felt very comfortable. The light was like the sun, giving them a warm feeling. Lord Lin Ling, that should be Holy Light City. Zhu Chuan was delighted as he hurriedly said to Lin Ling. He hoped to meet people from the Giant God Clan in Holy Light City. Moreover, the Giant God Clan members that appeared on the 7th level were all at the level of a great leader. They were also sovereigns. If they could meet them, it would mean that they had returned to the Giant God Clan's main camp. Everyone, let's speed up. Lin Ling nodded with a smile. They could rest after entering Holy Light City. After all, they had been hurrying along ever since they came to the 7th level and hadn't rested at all. It's best if we can buy a map of the 7th level. Lei Gong also smiled. Everyone quickened their pace and rushed toward Holy Light City. Then, they discovered that this so-called Holy Light City was under a divine mountain. The divine mountain emitted a gentle light that formed a holy light that blocked the approach of divine beasts. Moreover, Lin Chen and the others saw with their own eyes a divine beast approaching the divine mountain. However, after being illuminated by the holy light, it actually turned into a divine weapon and was beaten back to its original form. This shocked Lin Ling and the others. If they could control the holy light, then they wouldn't have to fear those divine beasts on the 7th level. Of course, this was just wishful thinking. If the holy light was so easy to obtain, why would the gods here need to hide in Holy Light City? Holy Light City didn't have walls. A large number of gods approached from all directions and then entered. Although divine beasts are everywhere on the 7th level, and there's even a terrifying divine beast tide, if there's a way to kill 1 or 2 divine beasts, the harvest is still pretty good. The one on the altar, from what you've said, you should have gotten a pretty good divine weapon, right? I did, but it's a pity that it's a little damaged. The gods of the path were whispering to each other. It seemed that if one was strong enough on the 7th level, they could still get a pretty good harvest and use it to become stronger. This was probably also a characteristic of the 7th level. However, the divine beast tide still shocked Lin Ling and the others. If they were to encounter a divine beast tide, they would probably die here. With a heavy heart, Lin Ling and the rest entered Holy Light City. Soon after, they realized that this divine city was not much different from an ordinary city. There were restaurants, markets, and many other things. There were even a large number of cultivation grounds. It seemed that even gods were transformed from humans, and there were humans as well. Moreover, the city was peaceful, which made Lin Ling and the others feel a lot more at ease. Let's look for a map or something first. The Pantheon has been in the 7th level for so long. They should have explored most of it by now. Lin Ling suggested. Then he had everyone split up to search. Not long after, someone was selling maps in a place that specialized in selling treasures. Lin Ling and the others hurried over. After asking around, they found out that the 7th level was very, very big. There was a map on the surface, and there were also secret maps. The maps on the surface were known to everyone, but the secret maps had to be explored by humans. Generally speaking, those who had secret maps would not easily hand over their maps to others. Even if the other party wanted it, they would have to exchange it with something. It should be your first time coming to the 7th level, right? At the stall, a bearded man with a late-stage deity realm cosmos giant god laughed. He could see that there were many middle-stage deity realm cosmos giant gods in Lin Ling's group. This kind of strength was rare on the 7th level. That's right. Your Excellency's map, how much are you selling it for? Lin Ling smiled faintly. Even though his background had been seen through, he was not afraid. After all, he could not act recklessly in Holy Light City. Secondly, although this group of people had low realms, each of them was an existence that could fight against 100. It was not difficult for them to fight against a late-stage deity realm cosmos giant god. Seeing that you are interested in buying, I'll give you a reminder. First, go to the market and buy a clear map. Buy a few more as backup. Then buy a secret map. This way, you won't be wasting your money. That bearded man was easy to talk to. It was rare for Lin Chen to meet such an enthusiastic person. He could not help but ask a few more questions. It seems that the map is the most important thing on the 7th level. I wonder why everyone is chasing after a map? If you want cultivation treasures, you can find them in the Dao Requital Celestial Tablet. Even though they are a little expensive, they are still useful. If you want cheap treasures, you can go to the market in Holy Light City to kill deity beasts. At that time, you can have whatever you want. But if you want to go from the 7th level to the 8th level, it won't be easy. The bearded man laughed. You are saying that the path to the 8th level is very secretive and hidden in some corner of the 7th level. Only after collecting all the maps of the 7th level will we know the path to the 8th level? Lin Ling's eyes brightened. That's right. The bearded man nodded. According to legend, no more than 100 people have reached the 8th level from the 7th level, and they are all existences of the ancient juggernaut. For example, the strongest leaders of the 12 divine clans, the leader of the 8 great gods of the primal chaos realm, and the powerhouses left on the 7th level are all the strongest under the juggernaut, but they still have not found the key. This shows how difficult it is to reach the 8th level. Thank you for the reminder. Lin Ling and the others suddenly understood. After all, everyone who rushed into the Dao Tower was rushing to the top of the Dao Tower. They wanted to become a god that controlled the entire universe. Therefore, maps were extremely important. Right? Have you seen anyone from the Giant God clan here? Zhu Chuan hurriedly asked. Sorry, the Giant God clan has always been mysterious. They are as mysterious as the Divine Ox clan and the universe's #1 Toad clan, so I have never seen them. However, I am certain that they are on the 7th level, just hidden somewhere. After all, the 7th level is far too big. The bearded man shook his head. Then I wonder what you want. Lin Ling was secretly regretful that he did not get the information he wanted, but he still smiled. What treasures do you have? The bearded man asked. Lin Ling and the others immediately took out the treasures they did not want and let the bearded man choose. I want this. If you agree, I will give you my dark map. The bearded man stared at a mushroom on Long Yang's body and suddenly smiled. This was the Empress Dowager mushroom that Long Yang had obtained on the 5th level. It was absolutely helpful to certain gods, but it was useless to Long Yang, so she had kept it all this time. Okay. Long Yang nodded at once. They exchanged the money and the goods. Next, everyone went to buy the bright maps. Each of them bought 3 copies, and then they overlapped the bearded man's dark map with one of the bright maps. A certain area on the map that was dark suddenly lit up. With the power of God, they could see the mountains, rivers, and other things in that area. It's only such a small area. Lei Gong saw that most of the map was dark and could not help but feel helpless. Who knew how long it would take to explore the entire map? Previously, that god said that apart from the leaders of the major god clans, the second person is on the 7th level. This means that we have many acquaintances on the 7th level, such as the great god of Spirit Nation and Ning Qingxin. Lin Ling suddenly said with some anticipation. Chapter 53:37. That's right, there's also big sister Qingxin. Yu also smiled. She had also thought of Ning Qingxin. And Yuera also smiled. Besides, the 12-winged Yang god and the others should have found their own god clan. They've been here for so long, so you can ask them if there's anything you don't understand. Everyone nodded. Lin Ling recalled that he had just arrived at Holy Light City, so he decided to rest here for the time being. He led everyone around Holy Light City, wanting to familiarize himself with the 7th level. On the 7th level, other than obtaining the map, we also have to face the divine beasts transformed from divine weapons. There are strong and weak divine beasts, and the powerful ones have the strength of a divine universe giant god. If we encounter them, we'll have a slim chance of survival. So the 7th level is the hardest to traverse. It had to be said that Holy Light City had indeed obtained good information. Apart from the map and the divine beasts, Lin Ling also knew that the god clan on the 7th level was extremely crazy. They often fought in order to enrich their maps. After all, the various god clans and major forces were spread out in every corner of the 7th level. Unless the other party traded maps with them, they wouldn't allow others to easily walk through their territory and explore the depths. This was also the reason why it was difficult to complete the maps. Lin Ling, the gods gathered on the 7th level are all extremely powerful. It seems that we have to make long-term plans here. Lei Gong whispered to Lin Ling. Lin Ling nodded. Let's find a restaurant to rest first. After a while, Lin Ling and the others were sitting in a restaurant. Zhu Chuan looked regretful as he drank and said, "It's a pity that we can't find the giant god clan. Otherwise, we'd have a place to stay now." Senior Zhu Chuan, don't worry. We'll find them sooner or later. Yu comforted him. While they were resting, a white-haired man at one of the tables in the restaurant glanced indifferently at Lin Ling and the others, then suddenly left. After walking out of the restaurant, a fly appeared in the man's hand, and he flipped the fly. Lin Ling has come to the 7th floor. Decaying gods, surround and kill him. However, even after Lin Ling and the others had eaten their fill, They still did not leave St. Light City, causing the white-haired man to become somewhat anxious. Decaying smoke, are Lin Ling and the others still in St. Light City? They're still here. They seem to have just arrived at St. Light City and are curious about everything here. That's why they haven't left yet. Think of a way to make them leave Vatican City. Lin Ling and the others had just arrived here, and they didn't know where to go if they left. Of course, they wouldn't leave casually. Just as they were about to find an inn to rest, someone suddenly came to pay them a visit. It was a woman as beautiful as a fairy. "Excuse me, are you looking for the Giant God clan?" The woman looked at Senior Ju Chuan and smiled. "Yes. Do you know where the Giant God race is?" Senior Ju Chuan was shocked and quickly nodded. "I know because I owe the Giant God clan a debt of gratitude. Then I sensed the aura of the Giant God clan on you, which is why I asked." The woman introduced herself. "My name is Fairy Hai Yao. If you want to find the Giant God tribe, please follow me." But Ju Chuan was extremely excited at the thought of seeing his clan. "Lin Ling, I'm afraid something's wrong." Saint Guy frowned and whispered to Lin Ling. Lin Ling also nodded, feeling that everything was too coincidental. He secretly transmitted his voice to Ju Chuan. "Big brother Ju Chuan, this woman is a little strange. We'd better be careful." At this moment, Ju Chuan was chatting with the woman. The woman was indeed very familiar with the Giant God clan. She knew exactly who was in the clan. Ju Chuan trusted her even more. "Lin Ling, I'm sure she knows the Giant God clan because they have always been mysterious. However, she's very familiar with their members. Senior Ju Chuan, you should know that we have a lot of enemies now. I'm afraid that this woman is sent by our enemies. If she tries to lure us into a trap, we will all be wiped out. So you must be sure." Lin Ling said telepathically. Ju Chuan pondered for a moment, then glanced at Fairy Hai Yao and nodded heavily. "I'm sure." "Okay, then we'll follow you," Lin Ling said to Lei Gong and the others. "Lin Ling, thank you." Ju Chuan's face was full of gratitude. "I haven't seen my clan in a long time, and I really want to see them. However, I'm sure that Fairy Hai Yao knows the Giant God clan." After saying that, Ju Chuan said a few more words to Fairy Hai Yao. "Okay, I'll take you to see the Giant God clan now. They're not far from here." Fairy Hai Yao smiled and then led Lin Ling and the others out of Holy Light City. "Lin Ling, since Senior Ju Chuan is so sure, then it must be fine. We're probably overthinking it." Yu and Yuer and the others believed in Ju Chuan. "I hope so." Lin Ling still felt that something was wrong, but he couldn't pinpoint what it was. Of course, people like Qing Zhu, Lei Gong, and Xingyi also felt the same way. "Everyone just be careful. Even if something happens, with our strength, we should be safe and sound." Taoist Master of Many Treasures comforted them. Everyone continued forward. Ju Chuan and Fairy Hai Yao chatted and laughed. It seemed that they were quickly getting familiar with each other. Fairy Hai Yao kept talking about the Giant God clan, which made Ju Chuan believe her even more. The others followed behind but didn't find anything wrong. They also gradually believed in Fairy Hai Yao. Only Lin Ling and Qing Zhu still felt that something was wrong. They looked into the distance and could sense that the aura in the distance was somewhat fishy and gloomy. "Fairy Hai Yao, how long more do we have to walk? Do we need to pass through that place in front?" Lin Ling suddenly asked. "No, it's just in front." Fairy Hai Yao turned around and smiled. "Everyone, be careful," Lin Ling suddenly shouted. Without waiting for Fairy Hai Yao to say anything, he shouted, "Let's go back to Holy Light City immediately." "Your Excellency Lin Ling, what's the meaning of this?" Fairy Hai Yao frowned. "I brought you to see the Giant God clan out of kindness, but you're going back halfway. You should know that I wasted a lot of time for you. Can you afford to pay for that time?" However, everyone ignored her and followed Lin Chen toward Holy Light City. "Lin Ling, you're not putting the Giant God clan in your eyes." Fairy Hai Yao was furious. "Lin Ling, what's going on?" Ju Chuan didn't know what was going on. "It's the rotten race. I can sense the aura of the rotten race ahead. Regardless of whether we've wronged Fairy Hai Yao or not, safety is the priority. Let's return to Holy Light City first. Lin Ling said. Okay, we'll listen to you. Zhu Chuan could only nod. Lin Ling, where are you going? At that moment, dark clouds surged from behind. Upon closer inspection, they were all formed by insects. The experts of the rotten race had arrived. The person in the lead wore a stinking cloak and held a huge pool of decay in his hand. He was the fastest and came from afar. The rotten god. Lin Ling sucked in a breath of cold air. In the past, he had seen the rotten god's avatar, so he recognized the rotten god's appearance. No way, the rotten god has personally come. How far is Holy Light City? Can we make it back in time? Everyone knew that a great calamity had arrived. The rotten god was the strongest leader of the rotten race. With their strength, how could they be a match for him? It was possible that they would all be wiped out. Chapter 53:38. It's all me, it's all me. Zhu Chuan pounded his chest and screamed in pain. He knew that if he hadn't trusted Fairy Hai Yao and tried his best to protect them, they wouldn't be in danger. Brother Zhu Chuan, let's not worry about this for now. Returning to Holy Light City is the most important thing. Lin Ling looked back and saw that the rotten race gods were getting closer and closer. Everyone follow me. Lin Ling shouted and sped up. Fortunately, they weren't too far from Holy Light City. There was still a chance of survival. Zhu Chuan, you're the one who killed them. Ha, you're the sinner among them. Suddenly, a loud laugh rang out. Fairy Hai Yao was holding a mirror and putting on makeup. She smiled cunningly and said, How do you think I know the giant god race? That's because several of our god clans joined forces to suppress the giant god clan. This war has been going on for several years now, so I know exactly who your giant god clan has. Oh, that's right, your giant god clan has suffered heavy losses. You're all hiding in the 7th level, not daring to show yourselves. So it's you. Zhu Chuan was so angry that he almost couldn't breathe. The guilt in his heart grew even stronger. Brother Zhu Chuan, don't be fooled. There will be plenty of opportunities for revenge in the future. Let's return to Holy Light City immediately. Lin Ling shouted at Zhu Chuan angrily. He knew that Fairy Hai Yao was deliberately angering Zhu Chuan so that he would lose his mind and be caught. Lin Ling, something's wrong. With a rotten race god's strength, it would be easy for him to catch up to us. But now, he's only closing the distance. Qing Zhu looked at the roiling clouds behind them and suddenly frowned. You're right. Lin Ling's eyes lit up. He guessed, unless this isn't the real rotten race god. No, he should be the real rotten race god. But I heard that the rotten race god has many clones. Maybe this is just one of them. Qing Zhu guessed. Lin Ling immediately recalled the scene he had seen with the rotten race god. At that time, he had also encountered a clone of the rotten race god. Even the Yellow Emperor, who had just broken through, could defeat him. However, it was clear that this was definitely a clone. It was just that it was stronger than the one he had seen last time. Lin Ling, you still want to leave? Seeing Lin Ling's group getting closer and closer to St. Light City, the rot god suddenly waved his hands and used a powerful divine ability. Everyone be careful. Lin Ling sensed a mysterious wave of energy coming and immediately warned him. Rumble. At the same time, the ground produced a huge suction force. Then the ground sank and a huge pit appeared. The soil was churning and a smelly liquid was oozing out. Upon closer inspection, the stinky liquid contained bones, other miscellaneous items, and even a large number of corpses. Rotting pond. In the past, when Lin Ling clashed with the decay god avatar, he was also pulled in by this pool of decay. He knew that as long as he was submerged in this pool of decay, no matter how strong he was, it was useless. Lord Lin Ling, it's the pool of decay. Xing Yi also shouted. In the past, he had also encountered this kind of rotten pond and knew how terrifying it was. Charge out. Everyone mobilized their god essence and urged out their universe power, but they still couldn't escape the pulling force of the pool of decay. At the same time, the gods of the rot race arrived. They surrounded the pool of decay, and their bodies suddenly dissolved into a smelly river water that poured into the pool of decay. In the end, only the rot god and Fairy Hai Yao were left standing there. Fairy Hai Yao was clearly not a member of the rot race. At this moment, she looked at Lin Ling's group with disdain. You want to fight the rot race with just you? You really don't know life from death. Fairy Hai Yao coldly said, not just you, even if the giant god race meets the rot race, they can only take a detour. With that, she stared at Lin Ling. You are Lin Ling? A little god who fought from the end of the Dao Tower to the peak. I thought you were strong, but you were suppressed to this extent as soon as you arrived. How disappointing. The 7th level is the battlefield of the universe's strongest gods. Little brat, you are still too inexperienced. The voice reached the pool of decay, and everyone was furious. If Fairy Hai Yao hadn't deceived them, they wouldn't have ended up like this. Lin Ling and the others were angry, but they also found it strange. After all, they didn't have much enmity with Fairy Hai Yao. Why would she hate them so much? You will have retribution. Zhu Chuan gritted his teeth and stared at Fairy Hai Yao, his eyes red with anger. When Zhu Chuan was on the 6th level, he lived in seclusion with the giant god race. He was aloof from worldly affairs, so he didn't think about the dangers of the world. Brother Zhu Chuan, ignore him. Lin Ling shouted at Zhu Chuan. Then he and the others resisted the suction of the earth with all their strength. Lin Ling, the sky has been sealed. Lei Gong wanted to rush out of the sky, but there was a powerful force blocking them from approaching. And above the earth, the fierce suction pulled everyone in. The most terrifying thing was that the rotten liquid was constantly rising. Block it with all your strength. This pool of decay is not invincible. There is a limit to its strength. Lin Ling shouted. His talent fused, and he used all his strength to prevent himself from being pulled in by the suction. Lin Ling, this can't go on. We have to break this pool of decay. Qing Zhu sensed the pool of decay and couldn't help but say solemnly. How about this? Everyone, gather all our strength to break into the pool of decay. Life and death will depend on this. Lin Ling only pondered for a moment before making a decision. Everyone present was very strong. They could block the suction of the pool of decay, but this was only delaying time. A day, a month, or a year later, they would still die. It was better to gather all their strength to break into the pool of decay. Of course, if they failed, they would die without a doubt. All right, we'll do as you say. Everyone knew this, but they would rather die in battle than be trapped in the pool of decay for a year. Seeing that everyone had agreed, Lin Ling was the first to use all his strength. His powerful divine power, physical strength, universe power, and world will all blasted into the pool of decay below. Under Lin Ling's powerful strength, the smelly pond water that was constantly floating up actually started to sink. In the past, Lin Ling had fought against the pool of decay, so he knew the weakness of the pool of decay. This Lin Ling is much stronger than before. At the edge of the pool of decay, the decay god avatar narrowed his eyes. Thinking of Lin Ling's strength in the past, and then thinking of Lin Ling's current strength, he was still very surprised. But his lips curled into a disdainful smile. Because the current Lin Ling still couldn't break his pool of decay. Everyone use all your strength. At this time, Lei Gong and the others' attacks also arrived. They all used the world will's power. Rumble. The gradually sinking pool of decay, under everyone's joint efforts, sank into the ground. Here's our chance. Everyone was overjoyed, but Lin Ling frowned. He knew that the pool of decay wasn't so simple. Sure enough, the decaying liquid that should have disappeared began to rise again under the decay god's sneer. Although it wasn't as fast as before, if this continued, it would sooner or later drown everyone. It seems that my strength is still not enough. Lin Ling narrowed his eyes and opened the square prison. Chapter 53:39. Everyone, let's work harder. The decaying water is rising again. Lei Gong and the rest roared as they activated their autonomous force and bombarded the ground. Eastern Emperor Bell. Saint Guyi activated his powerful chaos divine artifact. As for Qing Zhu, she transformed into a giant ape and smashed the decaying pond with her huge arms, causing the decaying pond's water to soar into the sky before falling back down like rain. Outside the decaying pond, Fairy Hai Yao's expression changed. She was afraid that these people would rush out of the decaying pond and chase after her. Originally, she didn't think much of Lin Ling and the rest, but after seeing them attack the decaying pond together, she knew how terrifying their power was. She didn't dare to underestimate Lin Ling and the rest. Lord Decaying God. Fairy Hai Yao immediately looked at the decaying god beside her, but she found that he was indifferent. The black face under the hat revealed a disdainful smile. All of this meant that the decaying god wasn't afraid of them at all. As expected, although Lei Gong and the rest were attacking the decaying pond, they were only suppressing the stench of the decaying pond. The water was still rising slowly, and if this continued, Lei Gong and the rest would be submerged. At this moment, Lin Ling was about to release the square prison, but he glanced at the decaying god at the edge of the decaying pond, then at Lei Gong and the rest who were still working hard, and made a decision in his heart. He knew that if he released the square prison, the decaying pond wouldn't be able to withstand it and would be destroyed in an instant. However, Lin Ling didn't want to reveal his trump card too quickly and attract the decaying god's attention. After all, the square prison was a matter of great importance. If Lin Ling revealed it, who knew how many great gods on the 7th floor would be watching him? Especially since he was new to the 7th floor, he had to be more cautious. How long can you guys last? Lin Ling looked at Lei Gong and the rest. Lin Ling, what are you planning to do? Taoist Master of Many Treasures immediately asked. He knew that Lin Ling had gone through many life and death situations. With his experience, insight, and unique vision, he must have thought of something. I need you guys to help me hold on for a while. I want to break through. Lin Ling said. He had 8 dantians in his body, and with the cosmos exquisite heart from the red-haired man on the 6th floor, he could use it to break through. Break through? Taoist Master of Many Treasures' eyes widened. This doesn't seem to be a good place. Break through. Lei Gong and the others were also shocked. This was the most critical moment. Lin Ling's combat strength was comparable to half of their combined strength. If Lin Ling withdrew his power, how could they withstand it? Junior brother, are you confident you can break through? Green Bamboo asked. Lin Ling was currently an initial stage deity realm cosmos giant god. After reaching this realm, it was extremely difficult for him to break through. Have you forgotten that the red-haired man gave me a universe core on the 6th level? Everyone understood, but they still felt that Lin Ling was a bit impulsive. Only Qing Zhu pondered for a while before nodding with a smile. Junior brother, go ahead and break through. We can hold on until you succeed. She then looked at everyone and said, don't forget that Lin Ling's fighting power has always been very strong. Once he breaks through, his overall power will increase tenfold. At that time, he might be able to break through the pool of decay by himself. Everyone's eyes lit up, and they nodded in unison. I'll have to trouble everyone. There was no time to lose. Lin Ling hurriedly sat down cross-legged, held the heart of the universe, and quickly refined it. Outside the pool of decay, the god of decay sensed that the resistance had weakened. He was startled, but when he saw Lin Ling cultivating, he was shocked. This Lin Ling is actually cultivating. The god of decay frowned. Generally speaking, shouldn't it be safer to resist the pool of decay? After all, breaking through wasn't something that could be done in a day or two. It was even possible for the breakthrough to fail. Even if one was lucky enough to succeed, the pool of decay would have flooded up by then. Hee, a broken pot is about to break. I find it funny. This Lin Ling thinks that after breaking through, he has the power to resist the pool of decay? Fairy Hai Yao laughed with disdain. She wasn't familiar with Lin Ling, so she didn't think that his power would increase by leaps and bounds after breaking through a realm. Don't worry about them. Without Lin Ling's help, they'll die even faster. The god of decay shook his head. He wasn't in a hurry, knowing that this would be a long battle. After all, he could see that other than Lin Ling, there were several other gods in the pool of decay who were quite strong. In terms of overall strength, the majority of these people could fight against a deity-level late-stage cosmos giant god, or even defeat him. Hold on. Without Lin Ling's suppression, the surface of the pool of decay rose even faster. Lei Gong and the others clenched their teeth and held on, but green bamboo exploded with an even stronger power, making up for the gap between Lin Ling and himself. At the same time, Yu Yu also urged the power of her true body. A snake tail appeared behind her, and as it danced, a wave of heavenly power suppressed down. The pool of decay continued to explode, and the speed of its rise slowed down. Lin Ling seemed to be breaking through, but he was actually paying attention to everyone. If there was any danger, he would definitely release his final trump card, the Four Corners Prison. Fortunately, it seemed that everyone could still hold on. The exquisite heart of the universe in his hand gradually disappeared and appeared in his dantian. The terrifying thing was that this exquisite heart of the universe was like the birth of a universe. Streams of ancient power enveloped the 8 dantians, providing them with an endless supply of spiritual energy. This spiritual energy was the ancient spiritual energy from the beginning of the universe. The density of this spiritual energy made Lin Ling feel that it wouldn't be difficult to open the 9th dantian. With this thought, Lin Ling couldn't help but feel a little excited because he had always wanted to open the 9th dantian, but he just couldn't find a suitable breakthrough treasure. And now, the exquisite heart of the universe seemed to have enough spiritual energy to support it. Should he open it? In a short time, Lin Ling thought about a lot of things, but he finally gave up. If it was any other place, Lin Ling wouldn't recommend trying, but if he tried here, everyone would be drowned in the pool of decay. Moreover, he had an intuition that the exquisite heart of the universe wasn't enough to open the 9th dantian. Full force breakthrough. Lin Ling finally made the decision to pour all the spiritual energy of the exquisite heart of the universe into the 8 dantians. Hong hong hong. The 8 dantians roared, and all of them were transforming. Realm-swallowing beast, supreme netherwind dragon, human king's flame, thunder lock true body, heavenly dragon bone, demon hell body, Vajra Bodhi, eternal killing world. In fact, many of these talents had reached their limits, and only a few of them were godly existences. This was also the reason why Lin Ling's breakthrough was so difficult. However, the exquisite heart of the universe was still a rare universe that hadn't matured. The spiritual energy it contained could be said to be as much as an ancient universe. Even if Lin Ling's talent was ordinary, under the dense and endless spiritual energy, his 8 dantians were still transforming. One of the dantians began to explode, as if the universe had reached its limit. But soon it was reborn. After the rebirth, it finally stepped into the middle stage of the god-level universe giant god. Next was the 2nd dantian, the 3rd dantian. Chapter 5340. Continuous booming sounds resounded in Lin Ling's dantian. The heart of the universe was indeed a universe that hadn't matured yet. The spiritual energy it contained was beyond imagination. As his dantians broke through one by one, Lin Ling's godly energy was also increasing crazily. Originally, Lin Ling's deity energy was 1,500,000, but as each of his dantians broke through, his deity energy increased as well. Gradually, his deity energy reached 2 million, then 3 million, and when all 8 of his dantians broke through to the middle stage deity realm universe giant god realm, his total deity energy reached 4 million. This godly energy had greatly exceeded that of a late-stage deity realm universe giant god. It could be said that even if Lin Ling didn't use his innate talent fusion, ordinary late-stage deity realm universe giant gods wouldn't be his match just by relying on his own strength. And once he used his innate talent fusion and all his trump cards, he might even dare to fight against a ruler. He was indeed worthy of having 8 dantians. After breaking through, his strength had increased by 8 times. But breaking through was too difficult. If not for the heart of the universe and relying on ordinary universe treasures, it would be impossible. Lin Ling was inwardly shocked. He then began to stabilize his realm and quietly exited his cultivation state. And while his breakthrough seemed fast, the truth was that it took a long time. In the pool of decay, Thunder God and the others were all exhausted, taking turns to restore themselves. They used the power of divinity and the power of the world's will, but they still couldn't stop the rising of the pool of decay. The ones who became the main force supporting everyone were Qing Zhu, Yu Yu, and Xing Yi. Qing Zhu's strength had always been a mystery. The more critical the moment, the more power she could erupt. For example, her current strength was already unparalleled among the late-stage deity realm universe giant gods. And Yu might be reincarnated, but her origin was extraordinary. She had the mysterious godly body of the Nua clan. As for Xingyi, his Eastern Emperor Bell was constantly growing. After reaching the 7th level, it was as though it had shed the mortal world, and its power had greatly increased. If not for the three of them, the pool of decay would have already flooded up. People could erupt their potential under pressure. Qing Zhu and the others were like this now. And there was another person who suddenly arrived. It was Bai Yuxing. He had obviously reached the 7th level faster than Lin Ling and the others, and just happened to be in the vicinity. When he saw that Lin Ling and the others were in trouble, he immediately went to help. He was the reincarnation of a descendant, and the one following him was Chang. Both of them had powerful backgrounds, and with their full support, they were able to buy time for Qing Zhu and the others. It was the god of decay. Bai Yuxing looked at the mysterious man on the other side of the rotten pool. He could guess who he was, but he didn't attack the rotten god. He knew that he was no match for the rotten god, so he attacked the rotten pool, hoping to buy time for Qing Zhu and the others. Goyilu. However, even with so many people working together, the water in the pool was still rising, and gradually, it reached their calves. Moreover, everyone had already flown to the highest point, leaving less and less space for them. Lin Ling, hurry up. As Qing Zhu continued to attack, she also looked at Lin Ling, who was among the crowd. This Lin Ling was truly courageous. He was about to die, yet he still dared to break through. The rotten god at the edge of the rotten pool sneered. After sensing for a moment, he finally mobilized more power. This was because he still had many clones in other places, and his main body was on the 8th level. Some of these clones were fighting and needed power to support themselves, but some of the clones' battles had already ended, so he could transfer power. Lin Ling, our grudges should end. Moreover, there are so many world wills here. I'm very curious to see what will happen to me after I devour their power. The rotten god's eyes were filled with anticipation. Right now, everyone's attention was on the Dao Tower. They had forgotten the terror of the world will's great calamity and the mysterious world wills. However, the rotten god didn't forget. He had a feeling that in this battle for the Dao Tower, the world wills would rise like a new force. Fortunately, he could now obtain a large amount of world wills at once. Especially Lin Ling. He always felt that Lin Ling was hiding the secret of a myth, which made him extremely curious. Goyilu. After the rotten god mobilized the power of the other clones, the pool's water rose even faster. The rotten god still had power. Qing Zhu's expression changed greatly. She had thought that the rotten god had reached his limit, so she was confident that he could last longer. Senior sister Qing Zhu and the others were in danger. Bai Yuxing's hands moved crazily, constantly shooting out descendant arrows. When they landed on the surface of the rotten pool, they were blocked by a thin film. Of course, although they were blocked, they also consumed the power of the rotten pool, indirectly helping Lin Ling and the others. Qing Zhu, let us help you. At the same time, Lei Gong and the others didn't have time to recover. They all urged the world will's power to suppress the rotten pool below. With the addition of everyone's power, the rotten pool was undoubtedly affected. However, the pool's water still rose, but the speed was much slower. Lei Gong and the others all stared below. Seeing that the pool's water was still rising, their expressions became extremely solemn. They couldn't let the pool rise. The water rose, everyone put in more effort to suppress the pool's water. Taoist myriad treasures roared. But at this moment, everyone discovered that the slowly rising pool's water suddenly stopped moving, remaining motionless at a limit. Success? Lei Gong and the others were shocked, and they all laughed excitedly. Could it be that the rotten god's power had reached its limit? Longyang laughed. Qing Zhu frowned and shook her head. No, I don't think the rotten god's power has weakened much. Everyone look, the pool's water is falling. Shengyi suddenly roared, and the pool's water was sinking. This time, everyone was shocked, because this was the first time they saw the pool's water sinking. Similarly, The rotten god was also shocked. According to his guess, the pool's water shouldn't be sinking. His eyes suddenly swept around, and then he stared at a figure, and his pupils shrank. Linling, Linling. At the same time, Fairy Hai Yao beside him also screamed, Linling? This gaze gradually made Qing Zhu and the others react. They looked back and found that there was a person standing behind them, urging a powerful divine power to attack the rotten pool below. Brother Ling! Lord Linling! Everyone shouted excitedly. They had finally waited for Linling to succeed in his breakthrough. Moreover, was it Linling who caused the pool's water to sink? If that was the case, then Linling's strength had increased by too much this time around. Thank you for your trouble. Linling smiled at everyone. After the talent fusion, the divine power, physical power, universe power, and the worlds will all burst out, bombarding the pool below. Boom! With a violent explosion, the pool's water quickly evaporated and sank at a speed visible to the naked eye. In your dreams! Outside the rotten pool, the rotten god roared angrily. He didn't expect Linling to succeed in his breakthrough, and after the breakthrough, his strength had increased tenfold, as if he had become a different person. He mobilized all his power and bombarded the rotten pool, determined not to let Linling and the others escape. Rotten god, you've used your 3 axes, now it's my turn. Linling sneered and looked calm. Although the one in front of him was the powerful rotten god, after all, it was just a clone. He was confident that he could break through the encirclement. Chapter 53:41. Come down for me. Linling fused his innate talents, and his godly power continued to climb. After reaching 4 million, it came crashing down like an avalanche. Bang bang bang. The decaying pond water, which was originally dropping, was now dropping even more crazily. Linling, don't even think about escaping. The rot god was enraged. He channeled all of his power into the decaying pond, wanting to refine Linling and the rest. He was a little anxious because he was so close. In the end, Linling succeeded in breaking through and became so powerful after breaking through. Fairy Hai Yao was also anxious. If Linling and the rest were to escape, she had a feeling that Linling would definitely find her for revenge. Insignificant skill. Linling snorted in disdain. He could feel that this rot god avatar was not as strong as he thought. He channeled his physical body's power and attacked the decaying pond again. With this new power, the decaying pond water sank again. The expressions of Green Bamboo and the others changed greatly. They felt that after Linling's breakthrough, his strength had actually surpassed all of them combined. It could be said that the current Linling could be considered an invincible existence among the giant gods of the universe. Still not enough? Again. Linling roared again and channeled his universe power to attack the decaying pond. His Linling universe was the universe power of the 4 worlds. After entering the decaying pond, it caused the pond water to sink again. Again! Linling also added his world's willpower, and his world's willpower was at the ancient level. Rumble, rumble! The decaying pond water dropped at a speed visible to the naked eye. Lei Gong and the rest were ecstatic. Ever since they were trapped, this was the first time they saw the pond water drop so crazily. It seemed that they had a chance to escape. Next to the decaying pond, the rot god's expression became even more unsightly. Rot god, I'll go first. Fairy Hai Yao saw that the situation was not right and immediately ran away. The rot god ignored her and didn't try to run away. He just stared at Linling. He knew that if he could use the power of his 3 avatars, he could still suppress Linling. However, the other 3 doppelgangers were also in battle and could not mobilize their strength at all. He could only swallow the consequences of his actions and watch as Linling broke free. Rumble! The pool of decay began to tremble violently. Qing Zhu and the others saw this and helped Linling, directing the remaining energy towards the pool of decay. Boom! With a violent explosion, the pool of decay finally exploded. A mysterious power dissipated and the ground returned to normal. Then Linling and the others quickly shot out. Finally out. Sensing that the air was filled with ancient spiritual energy and no longer had a fishy smell, everyone felt as if they had just survived a calamity. Thinking back to the previous scene, they still felt guilty. If Lin Ling hadn't successfully broken through, perhaps they would have died here. Damn, that bitch Fairy Hai Yao ran away. Lei Gong looked around and angrily cursed. If Fairy Hai Yao hadn't tricked Lei Gong, they wouldn't have encountered such danger. She can't escape. Zhu Chuan coldly said. Fairy Hai Yao wanted him to believe her and gave him a jade pendant from the giant god clan. However, this jade pendant had always been with Fairy Hai Yao, so it still had her aura. If he used this aura, he would be able to sense which direction Fairy Hai Yao was fleeing in. Of course, there was a time limit. Once this aura weakened, Fairy Hai Yao would eventually escape from everyone's sight. Rot God! Lin Ling stood in the air with his clothes flapping. He took a step forward and walked towards the Rot God. This was not the first time he had met the Rot God. They could be considered old rivals. He knew that the Rot God wanted nothing more than to kill Lin Ling. At the same time, Lin Ling also wanted nothing more than to kill the Rot God. On the path to the peak of the Dao Pagoda, one of them had to die. The Rot God was indeed worthy of being called the strongest god of the Rot race. Even though he was no match, he didn't run. Perhaps his pride and identity didn't allow him to escape. At worst, he would just destroy one of his avatars. Lin Ling, oh Lin Ling, your wings are becoming more and more mature. That year when we parted, you were just an early cosmos giant god, but now you're already a ruler. You've made me have a whole new level of respect for you. The Rot God said indifferently with a smile on his face. You're worthy of being the host of a world's will. However, there are many heroes on the 7th floor. You can't hold your ground with your current strength. Sooner or later, we'll have to fight again. At that time, I'll mobilize even more power to bring you to justice. Hee, the next time we meet, I won't be the same person. Lin Ling said with a smile. He had some respect for this great enemy. You're right. The god of decay nodded. Then I will kill you before you grow up. Maybe not you, because I have many enemies. The Silver Moon race, the Myriad Oceanic race, the 9 Conch race, Dipankra Buddha, and the 9 stars of the universe. Lin Ling said. You're right. The 7th floor is the pinnacle of the battlefield. Whether you can survive against these rulers is unknown, but I still believe that you'll die at my hands. I'll definitely obtain your world's will. The Rot God's eyes burned with passion. In his heart, he had already accepted Lin Ling as a ruler, someone as famous as Dipankra Buddha and the others. Until we meet again. The Rot God's body began to rot. He didn't wait for Lin Ling to attack and chose to commit suicide. After all, he was a proud man. Even if his avatar died, he couldn't die at the hands of an enemy. You want to die? In your dreams. Xing Yi's face was filled with anger. He didn't want to let the Rot God off so easily, but Lin Ling stopped him. After all, it was only an avatar, not the main body. It didn't matter who killed it. Ha! The Rot God was quite bold. His avatar rotted away, laughing nonstop. Lin Ling and the others watched as the Rot God turned into nothingness. Everyone let out a sigh of relief. They didn't expect to win the battle against the Rot God again. This was the second time. Let's go find Fairy Hai Yao. Lin Ling looked into the distance. They didn't know where to go, so they might as well deal with Fairy Hai Yao first. But there are many divine beasts on the 7th floor. It won't be good if we run into them. Qin Zhu suggested. Don't worry. That woman is very cunning. She definitely knows the safest path. We shouldn't run into any divine beasts if we follow her. Lin Ling was confident. Fairy Hai Yao had come to the 7th floor earlier than them and explored a larger area. She definitely knew how to avoid danger. And with Fairy Hai Yao's help, not only could they explore the map, they could also kill Fairy Hai Yao. That's right. We can't miss this opportunity. If we miss this chance, the aura of the jade pendant left behind by Fairy Hai Yao will dissipate, and we won't be able to find her again. Zhu Chuan was undoubtedly the most excited. After all, if it weren't for his guarantee, Lin Ling and the others wouldn't have been in danger. Then let's chase. Seeing that everyone wanted revenge, Lin Ling immediately took the jade pendant from Zhu Chuan's hand. After sensing it, he flew in a certain direction. They've caught up. Fairy Hai Yao was running in front, but she could sense that someone was spying on her jade pendant. She guessed that Lin Ling and the others had caught up. This scared her so much that her face turned pale. She suddenly felt regret in her heart. Right now, she only hoped to stall for time. Once the aura of the jade pendant dissipated, Lin Ling wouldn't be able to find her. Chapter 53-42. Fairy Hai Yao was very fast, but the map in her hand was limited, so she didn't dare to explore some dark places. Suddenly, her eyes lit up as a huge ancient city appeared in front of her. There were 3 majestic statues in the city, towering into the clouds and faintly discernible. The land tablet of the 3 gods. Fairy Hai Yao was delighted. She quickly flew down and rushed toward the entrance of the huge city. This huge city was actually located in a valley-like place. It was surrounded by towering mountains that reached into the clouds. This city had been built for hundreds of years. It was said that the first gods to arrive in the 7th layer occupied it, and the most famous of them were the 3 gods. These 3 gods were ancient gods of the universe and had never experienced the great calamity of the world's will. They had many connections in the 7th layer, and many gods and rulers gave them face. Fairy Hai Yao was fortunate enough to know one of them called the sheep god. Of course, the reason was that the sheep god had always been eyeing her beauty. It was just that Fairy Hai Yao didn't like him. This time, she would definitely be taken advantage of if she asked for his help. Who is it? Just as Fairy Hai Yao approached the entrance of the valley, a god stopped her and sized her up. I'm Fairy Hai Yao. I know the sheep god and hope to enter the city. Fairy Hai Yao said hurriedly. She looked back and could sense Lin Ling and the others' auras approaching. You know the sheep god? The god guarding the entrance wanted to take advantage of her, but after knowing Fairy Hai Yao's background, he didn't dare to. Then you can go in. One of them, a thin-faced god, nodded. Great god, there are people chasing me. Don't let them in, they want to kill me. Fairy Hai Yao said to the thin-faced god. How dare you touch the guest of the sheep god? Go in, those people won't be able to enter the city. The thin-faced god patted his chest and said, Maybe we can catch them for you. If that's the case, then I'll have to thank you, great gods. Fairy Hai Yao was delighted and then entered the city. She had a cold smile on her face. Lin Ling and the others were just newcomers and didn't know about her connections on the 7th level. Before, she could ask the rotten god for help, and now she could ask the 3 deities for help. Let's see how Lin Ling and the others will fight with me. After entering the city, Fairy Hai Yao immediately contacted the goat deity. Oh, it's Fairy Hai Yao. What a beauty! Come to the arena of gods in the city. This old man is right here. Hearing Fairy Hai Yao's voice transmission, the goat god seems to be very happy. Fairy Hai Yao was a little surprised. Based on her understanding of the sheep god, he should have come to greet her personally. Why was he hiding in the arena of gods? Could it be that the arena of gods had something more important than her? Hee, my great beauty, don't think too much. The main thing is that I've met an enemy. Now that I'm trapped in the arena of gods, everything will be fine as long as I get rid of her. The goat god's voice came again. All right, I'll be right there. Fairy Hai Yao didn't think too much about it and quickly ran towards the Colosseum of Gods. The Colosseum of Gods was very famous in the area. Through battles between gods, one could obtain each other's maps. So many gods liked to come here. Not long after, Lin Ling and the others also arrived. They all frowned as they looked at the city surrounded by huge mountains. This Fairy Hai Yao is indeed cunning. Seeing that she can't escape, she immediately hid in a crowded place. Zhu Chuan cursed angrily. They were confident that they could capture Fairy Hai Yao after another incense stick's worth of time, but a huge city blocked their way halfway. Let's go in. Lin Ling frowned slightly and led everyone into the city. Wait! The gods at the city gate had already locked onto Lin Ling and the others. When they saw them approaching, they secretly sneered and stopped Lin Ling and the others. Do you have an entry token? The emaciated god said indifferently. That we don't have one. Lei Gong glanced at Lin Ling and then said, Then hand over your map and we'll let you in. The skinny god continued. What kind of rule is this? Why do we have to hand it over when others don't? Lei Gong felt that something was wrong. After they saw Fairy Hai Yao enter, a few other gods also entered, but they didn't have to hand over anything at all. They're others. They come here often, so naturally, they don't have to hand it over. You're newcomers, so newcomers have to follow the rules. The thin god said indifferently. Is that so? Then we won't go in. Let's go. Lin Ling sneered and led Lei Gong and the others away. This time, the gods guarding the city gate couldn't react. Weren't these people chasing after Fairy Hai Yao? Why did they leave just like that? Previously, they thought that Lin Ling and the others would definitely enter the city, so they solved the problem. Who knew that Lin Ling and the others didn't follow their plan at all? Wait! The thin god shouted again. You can't just leave like this. You still have to hand over the map. Sir, we have to hand over the map even if we don't enter the city? What kind of rule is this? Lin Ling slowly turned around with a mocking look on his face. The thin god was speechless. He said unyieldingly, in the three-god city area, all gods have to follow our rules. Otherwise, you're challenging the three gods. Your Excellency, you should know that we're here for that woman, and she's begging you for help. So you're purposely looking for trouble. Lin Ling wasn't an idiot. He had already guessed what was going on. What woman? Don't change the topic. Are you going to hand it over or not? The thin god's eyes flashed as he continued unyieldingly. Fine, I'll hand it over. Lin Ling pondered for a moment, then suddenly nodded. He walked toward the thin god and took out his map. The gods guarding the gate didn't expect Lin Ling to be so cooperative. As expected of a newcomer, he was too easily frightened. However, they had already promised Fairy Hai Yao, so even if Lin Ling handed over the map, they wouldn't let Lin Ling and the others go. You're smart. The thin god walked forward, wanting to take Lin Ling's map. After all, the most valuable thing on the 7th floor was a map. Perhaps these newcomers' maps contained places they hadn't been to before. Lin Ling handed over the map. However, the moment the thin god touched the map, Lin Ling instantly launched an attack. His godly energy and fleshly body erupted as he grabbed the god's neck. These gods guarding the gate were all deity-level late-stage universe giant gods. To the current Lin Ling, this level of strength wasn't enough. What are you doing? The others' expressions changed drastically. Looking for trouble? I'd like to see how long you can protect her. Lin Ling said coldly. He exerted strength in his hand and crushed the god's neck. These people clearly didn't intend to let Lin Ling and the others go. Since that was the case, they might as well strike first. After the god was killed, his corpse transformed into a thin gray rabbit. It seemed to be his godly body. This made Lin Ling and the others a little surprised. Chapter 53-43. How dare you kill Lord Shanbei? Staring at the rabbit in Lin Ling's hand, the gods at the gate were enraged and attacked Lin Ling's group. Lin Ling turned back and nodded at Lei Gong and the rest. These people were just ordinary late-stage universe giant gods. Lei Gong and the rest could deal with them. Lin Ling then looked at the jade pendant in his hand. The aura within the jade pendant was dissipating, but it was pointing at the city. This meant that Fairy Hai Yao was still in the city. Lin Ling immediately rushed in the direction of Fairy Hai Yao. Xianxia stood by Lin Ling's side, protecting him. Whenever a god appeared, Xianxia would summon the Eastern Emperor Bell and smash it down. With a boom, several late-stage deity realm cosmos giant gods were suppressed and turned into beasts like wild boars and weasels. This three-god city was extremely strange. The gods seemed to be transformed from animals. Looking at Lei Gong and the rest, ordinary universe giant gods were no match for them when they used the world willpower. The world willpower. These people are the hosts of the world willpower. Many people were watching from afar. When they saw the strength of Lei Gong and the rest, many had their own guesses. Of course, Lin Ling and the rest were not famous on the 7th floor. Only a small portion of people could guess their origins. The world willpower? Could it be because of Lin Ling? It should be. He looks very young and is definitely not Dipankara Buddha God. He actually commanded so many hosts of the world willpower. Many people squinted their eyes and were shocked. The gods in this city are so strange. I remember a legend. In the ancient primordial era, there was a mountain full of wild beasts. Later on, a powerful god passed by this mountain and planted the seeds of cultivation. These wild beasts gradually heard of the great Tao and finally transformed into humans. Right, that mountain seems to be called Three Gods Mountain. Zhu Chuan suddenly exclaimed. No wonder they are all animals. If that's the case, this city should be called Three Gods City. Lin Ling nodded. It should be. And the god who planted the seeds of great Tao seems to be the strongest ruler of the 8 great deity generations. Zhu Chuan said. The 8 great god generations are the strongest gods in the universe, second only to the creation god. They have yet to enter the Tao Tower, or else the Tao Tower will stir up a storm of blood. Lin Ling could not help but sigh. The closer he got to the end of the Tao Tower, the more powerhouses appeared. With his current strength, he estimated that he could barely walk around the 7th floor. How dare you kill people in Three Divine City? A large number of gods rushed over from the front. They were all dressed in Taoist robes and had beards. They gave off the feeling of immortals. Where is Fairy Hai Yao? Lin Ling asked indifferently. What Fairy Hai Yao? I think you're just trying to find an excuse to make trouble. What fairy are you talking about? The middle-aged man at the front had a mustache, but his mouth was pointed and his cheeks were like those of a monkey, making him look a bit comical. Moreover, although he denied it, Lin Ling saw that his eyes were flickering. Obviously, he knew Fairy Hai Yao. It seemed that Three Divine City and Fairy Hai Yao had a certain friendship. Otherwise, how could they protect her like this? Then he recalled how those deities had stopped him and the others at the main door. Realization dawned on Lin Ling. It seemed that if he wanted to kill Fairy Hai Yao, he would have to break into Three Divine City. Kneel down and admit your mistake. The middle-aged man shouted again. If you can take one of my punches, I, Lin Ling, will kneel down and admit my mistake. Lin Ling did not intend to talk nonsense. He fused his innate talent, and his figure appeared in front of the bearded middle-aged man. He punched out. This seemingly simple punch was actually mixed with the powerful power of the gods and the power of the fleshly body. The overall strength was already in the quadrillion level. It must be known that an ordinary early god-level universe giant god only had 1 quadrillion godly energy, 2 quadrillion godly energy in the middle stage, 3 quadrillion godly energy in the late stage, and 4 quadrillion godly energy in the peak stage. And Lin Ling alone had 1 quadrillion godly energy. He had already reached the god-level universe giant god level. Not good. Your Excellency, stop. The bearded middle-aged man was full of disdain at first, but after sensing Lin Ling's godly energy, his expression changed. How was this a god-level universe giant god? This was simply the strength of a ruler. Lin Shen did not hold back. With one punch, he destroyed the bearded middle-aged man completely. He died without even transforming back into his true body. Even the few people beside the bearded middle-aged man were implicated and killed with one punch. Such powerful strength. The remaining people's pupils shrank. They did not dare to block Lin Ling anymore. They ran towards the depths, and when they panicked, they ran on all fours like wild beasts. Obviously, although they had transformed into humans, they still retained some of the characteristics of wild beasts. It was just that they had heard of the great Taos of the 8 great gods. After entering the great Taos, their strength was much stronger than many demonic beasts who had transformed into humans. That's Lin Ling. Who would have thought that Lin Ling would also come to the 7th floor? Among the crowd, someone narrowed his eyes. It was a god from the Silver Moon clan. The Silver Moon clan had a deep hatred for Lin Ling. Now that Lin Ling had come to the 7th floor, they were naturally restless. Amitabha, Lin Ling has finally come. Similarly, the Buddha god from the 3 godly gates of White Mountain was also in Three God City. After seeing this scene, he clenched his fists and his eyes flashed. Lin Ling was the number 1 enemy of Dipankara Buddha god. Now that he had appeared on the 7th floor, the 3 godly gates of White Mountain, Burning Heart, and Lamp Heart would definitely go all out to capture Lin Ling. This was especially so when the Buddha god saw that there were several world-will hosts following Lin Ling. This made him realize that this was no small matter. Three Gods City was in chaos. Gods from all sides were watching. In fact, in this ancient city, there were many gods that were not weaker than Lin Ling. However, they were not from Three Gods City and were only here to participate in the arena of gods. Therefore, they did not interfere in this matter. Of course, they also knew that the three gods were not weak since they were able to survive for so long on the 7th floor. Moreover, they had many connections and backings. This Lin Ling wanted to cause havoc in Three Gods City, but it would not be so simple. Lin Ling. Lei Gong and the rest followed Lin Ling and saw strange gazes from the people in the city. We will leave after killing Fairy Hai Yao. Lin Ling naturally knew that if they swaggered into Three Gods City like this, it would be easy for them to be surrounded and attacked. However, he was still confident that they would be able to escape unscathed before stronger gods arrived. As for the three gods, Lin Ling had investigated them before. They were indeed strong, but if Lin Ling used the square prison, these three gods would not be enough to deal with. At the center of the city, there was a huge martial stage. This was the arena of gods. To be honest, the three gods had only opened the arena of gods here to provide a venue. The real deciding factor was the gods fighting in the arena. Among them, the winner would obtain the loser's map. That was why so many gods had come here. There were many such arena of gods on the 7th floor. After all, the powerful gods who provided the venue could obtain 1% of the map. What's going on? At this moment, three old men were sitting at the edge of the arena. They were looking behind them because of the commotion. The three of them were different. One had a black face and was tall and sturdy. One had a long face and was thin and slender. The last one had a triangular face and a goat-like beard. Chapter 53-44. They're here. Fairy Hai Yao guessed what was going on. She was so scared that her whole body trembled as if she had seen a demon. Who are you? How dare you barge into Three Gods City? The black-faced elder suddenly stood up and roared like a tiger. His roar attracted the attention of all the gods in Three Gods City. Some were gloating, some were sneering, and some were confused. Three Gods City was so famous. Why did these people dare to barge in? Weren't they going to the tiger's den even though they knew there was a tiger there? We're here for her. Senior, if you hand her over, we'll leave immediately. Lin Ling looked at Fairy Hai Yao indifferently. Her. The skinny elder with the goatee couldn't help but laugh. Do you know who she is? How dare you take her? Then I'll offend you. Lin Ling knew that these people wouldn't let her go, so he didn't plan on wasting time. He attacked directly. He exploded with all his strength and used Pangu's true body. Talent fusion, coupled with the power of the world's will, he blasted the ground. You're asking for death. The three old men did not expect Lin Ling to dare to make a move here, but when they saw that Lin Ling's strength was not weak, they all dodged. Lin Ling, on the other hand, had transformed into a giant that could split the heavens and earth apart. He smashed his fist into the ground, causing countless gods to be implicated. On the other hand, Fairy Hai Yao wasn't affected, mainly because Lin Ling planned to leave her to Big Brother Ju Chuan. This guy is crazy. Fairy Hai Yao's eyes widened. Suddenly, a large hand grabbed her neck and flew her toward Ju Chuan. It was Lin Ling. Save me, goat god. Fairy Hai Yao shouted. She didn't expect that even though she hid in Three Gods City, these newcomers still dared to barge in. Weren't they afraid of being surrounded by the gods? Let her go or I'll kill you. The elder called Goat God shouted angrily. His body suddenly enlarged, and a white whip appeared in his hand. Divine lightning gathered in it, and he slashed it at Lin Ling. Big Brother Ju Chuan, kill her. Lin Ling felt the powerful force behind him. He immediately threw Fairy Hai Yao aside and turned back. He gathered all his strength and punched at the divine lightning. A powerful force exploded. It was as if the universe was being destroyed. More than half of Three Gods City was overturned. Countless buildings and streets were tumbling in the sky. Peng ping peng. At the same time, Lin Ling, who had transformed into the Pangu giant, couldn't withstand the impact of the divine lightning. He staggered backward, and with every step he took back, a god would be killed by the divine lightning. One had to know that the gods who appeared in Three-God City were all deity-level universe giant gods, yet none of them could resist the godly thunder on Lin Ling's body. From this, one could see how terrifying the goat god's godly thunder was. This type of divine lightning was called the Three-Wood Divine Lightning. After the goat god was enlightened into the Tao, he learned it from a fusong tree on the divine mountain. With this divine lightning, the goat god was invincible. He's not dead. Goat god was shocked. His Three-Wood Divine Lightning contained 1 quadrillion units of godly energy. Who among the godly cosmos gods could withstand it? Break for me! Lin Ling finally stopped and roared at the sky. It was as if Pangu was splitting the heavens and earth. He was extraordinarily brave. Long. The divine lightning around Zhongyu was blasted out in all directions and landed on the gods. Many gods were killed, and when the divine lightning landed on the ground, it blasted huge holes in the ground. After reaching the middle stage of the godly cosmos god realm, Lin Ling's battle power had increased exponentially. After his innate talent fusion, his total strength was also 1 quadrillion units. After all, his godly energy was originally 4 quadrillion. His innate talent fusion had increased it to 8 quadrillion, and his fleshly body strength was 2 million. It could be said that Lin Ling was now an invincible existence among the godly cosmos gods. So ferocious. Seeing the giants roar shatter the triple-wood divine lightning, all the gods in Three-God City were shocked. They were filled with curiosity towards this god who had suddenly appeared. What kind of god was this? Wasn't he too strong? Lin Ling. Lei Gong and the others clenched their fists in excitement when they saw Lin Ling and scathed after taking a blow from one of the 3 gods. No wonder Lin Ling dared to bring them into Three-God City. It turned out that Lin Ling's strength was no longer the same as before. Fairy Hai Yao. Zhu Chuan had already caught Fairy Hai Yao. His eyes were filled with murderous intent as he looked at her. He believed that he had no enmity with Fairy Hai Yao, but this woman had deceived him. In order to help the rotten god, she dared to lie to them and almost caused them to be wiped out. This was also the reason why Zhu Chuan trusted Fairy Hai Yao. Therefore, if Fairy Hai Yao didn't die, he wouldn't have the face to see Lin Ling and the others. Brother Zhu Chuan, this is a misunderstanding. Fairy Hai Yao was really panicking. The god of decay couldn't stop Lin Ling, and the 3 gods couldn't stop Lin Ling either. She had kicked an iron plate. A misunderstanding. Zhu Chuan's body suddenly grew larger and transformed into a god of the giant god clan. He held Fairy Hai Yao in his hand and looked majestic. It's really a misunderstanding. Fairy Hai Yao was so scared that she cried. Her heart was filled with regret. If she knew that this group of people was so terrifying, she wouldn't have provoked them. However, at that time, she thought that these people were just newcomers. Who knew that they were so powerful? I was wrong. Brother Zhu Chuan, please take into account that I'm young and let me live. Fairy Hai Yao cried and begged for mercy. If I let you live, I won't be able to explain it to them. Zhu Chuan's eyes were filled with murderous intent. Great goat god, save me. Fairy Hai Yao finally knew that Lin Ling and the others were determined to kill her. Now, she could only rely on the 3 gods. You let her go. The huge goat god let out a fierce roar. He had long been moved by Fairy Hai Yao's beauty. This great beauty had delivered herself to him with great difficulty, but in the end, she was surrounded and killed by these strong enemies. If Fairy Hai Yao died in front of him, what dignity would his 3-God city have left? Brother Zhu Chuan, settle the grudge between you and her. At this time, Lin Ling suddenly shouted. Fairy Hai Yao, if you want to blame someone, blame yourself for provoking the wrong person. Zhu Chuan's hands suddenly clenched. His giant arm had great strength and directly crushed Fairy Hai Yao into a meat paste, turning her into an azure jellyfish. Zhu Chuan waved his arm and the crushed jellyfish was thrown out. Then Zhu Chuan struck out with his palm. Rumble. This palm strike contained the sun, moon, and stars. It used the most ancient power to destroy the azure jellyfish. At this point, Fairy Hai Yao finally fell. After Lin Ling and the others escaped, she fled all the way to 3-God City. She thought that with the protection of the three gods, she would be safe. In the end, she still couldn't escape death. You're all dead. The three gods' faces darkened. They really killed her, and in front of them. How could these people let them leave alive? Lin Ling. At this time, a familiar voice floated over. In the crowd, a woman floated up and looked at Lin Ling in surprise. Ning Qingxin. After seeing the woman, Lin Ling couldn't help but be stunned. He was extremely surprised. Chapter 53:45. Lin Ling, why are you guys here? Ning Qingxin looked at Lin Ling in surprise. She had felt that Lin Ling looked familiar before, but after Lin Ling attacked, she realized that it was Lin Ling. She didn't expect that Lin Ling would also come to the 7th level and even have a conflict with the three gods. We just arrived at the 7th level. Lin Ling couldn't help but smile. Ning Qingxin was one of the 9 stars of the universe and had saved Lin Ling a few times in the past. They were friends who had risked their lives for each other. So you just arrived. I thought you had been here for a long time. Ning Qingxin smiled and looked at Lin Ling from head to toe. She couldn't help but be shocked. After not seeing him for so many years, this guy's strength had increased by quite a lot. Ning Qingxin. Yu and Yuera also knew Ning Qingxin and greeted her with smiles. You guys are here too. Ning Qingxin looked at Yu and the others, then flew to Yu and the others and hugged them. Ning Qingxin, why are you in Three God City? Lin Ling asked with a smile. I was at the Arena of Gods. I was just about to finish off my opponent when you brought people in and interrupted our battle. Ning Qingxin replied. She glanced at Lei Gong, Qing Zhu, and the others. When she realized that everyone was here, she was even happier. Are you guys done talking? Everyone in the city was looking at Lin Ling, but Lin Ling was catching up with someone else. This made the three gods furious. They killed their way into Three God City and did whatever they wanted. Now they even dared to ignore them. These people were dead meat. I forgot. There are still those 3 old ghosts. Lin Ling then looked at the 3 gods and said lightly, 3 gods, right? This is between me and Fairy Haiyao. Now that Fairy Haiyao is dead, Three God City has nothing to do with it. Let's mind our own business. Do you think that's possible? The goat god narrowed his eyes filled with killing intent. Speaking of Fairy Haiyao, the anger in his heart intensified. After all, this was equivalent to killing his lover. Whoever kills him, I'll give my map to him. In a fit of anger, the sheep god tossed out a huge temptation. A commotion broke out among the gods in the surroundings. The sheep god was an extremely ancient god, one of the first few gods of the 7th floor. His map must have recorded more than half of the 7th floor. On the 7th floor, the god's goal was the map. Even if they didn't use it themselves, they could still use it to trade, and it would be worth a lot. This youth's strength is unfathomable. He was able to withstand one move from the sheep god, but he's only a middle-stage deity cosmos giant god. He must have borrowed the power of a treasure, and this treasure can't be used many times. This is an opportunity. If I can get the sheep god's map, why should I risk my life in the arena of gods? There were bound to be fierce men when there was a great reward. In a short period of time, each of the gods had their own ulterior motives. They were even afraid that others would steal the credit if they were too slow. You dare to cause a ruckus in Three God City and interrupt our arena of gods? How dare you? Hand over your life. A god who was confident in his strength rushed out. His powerful deity energy transformed into a huge net that suppressed Lin Ling. He was a late-stage deity cosmos giant god, and he was even stronger than ordinary gods, so he had some confidence in himself. You overestimate yourself. Lin Ling's target was Fairy Haiyao. Now that Fairy Haiyao had been killed, he had no intention of causing trouble if the 3 gods let it go. But if the 3 gods didn't intend to let him go, he wouldn't be merciful either. Scram! Lin Ling roared angrily and threw a punch forward. Although he hadn't been on the 7th floor for long, he wasn't familiar with the place at first, so he had some scruples in his actions. But this scruples wouldn't last long. After all, this didn't match Lin Ling's temperament. He didn't rely on luck to reach the 7th floor from the 1st floor of the Dao Pagoda. His fist was like a meteor, shattering the huge net formed by deity energy. His fist didn't stop as it met the god's attack head-on. His deity energy has reached 1 quadrillion, or even more. The god's expression changed greatly. His deity energy had reached 8 quadrillion, but Lin Ling had easily broken his divine ability. This meant something. "You're courting death." He roared and activated the universe. His universe was the universe of 4 realms. In addition to his divine power, his strength was now stronger than before. His universe had 9 stars, and the 9 stars were aligned to form a powerful primal energy. But Lin Ling's fist arrived. It was like Pangu splitting open the heavens, splitting the earth, breaking all universes. Pung ping pung. Under countless gazes, the god's universe was shattered. The 9 stars exploded continuously and turned into fine powder. Lin Ling's fist was like a comet as it reached his chest. The next moment, the god stopped moving. He lowered his head and looked at his chest. He could feel his vitality dissipating. "How dare you kill my junior brother?" A white-haired old man suddenly rushed up, transformed into a divine crane, and arrogantly charged at Lin Ling. Along with his speed, his deity energy also increased crazily, reaching 1 quadrillion. Although this god's cultivation was also at the late stage of the deity realm, his deity energy was so terrifying that it had reached the ruler level. Another one courting death. Lin Ling's fleshly body and deity energy combined. It seemed to be 1 quadrillion, but in reality, it had already exceeded that. Furthermore, he stretched out his palm, and the power of faith condensed to form a sword of faith. He slashed out. The power of the world's will and the power of his innate talent combined to form the most ancient power in the universe. Hong hong hong. A deafening sound rang out, and countless gods were sent flying by the impact. When they looked at the white-haired elder again, his head flew up and was severed by a single sword strike. His corpse slowly floated down. Next, the corpse of the first god also slowly floated down. In the blink of an eye, 2 super-powerful deity realm universe giant gods died. Those 2 were experts who participated in the arena of God. Since they dared to participate in this arena, they must be much stronger than ordinary deity realm universe giant gods. But they were actually killed in one move. This person's strength must have reached the ruler level. How terrifying! He's only a middle-stage deity realm universe giant god. People discussed animatedly, and their expressions became more solemn. Because according to this assessment, unless it was a deity realm universe giant god or a top-notch god, it was impossible for them to be a match for this youth. Of course, a ruler could still kill this youth. For a moment, no one dared to act rashly. Even if there were no lack of ruler-level experts present, it was rare for them to remain silent. And Ning Qingxin only realized how much Lin Ling's strength had increased after witnessing Lin Ling's strength explode once again. She suddenly laughed. I believe that Lin Ling's enemies are very regretful that they didn't kill Lin Ling at the beginning of the Dao Pagoda, which led to Lin Ling's growth. She knew that many gods had the opportunity to kill Lin Ling. For example, Rot God, Dipankara Buddha, and the others. But their attention was on the latter half of the Dao Pagoda. They didn't want to waste time at the beginning of the Dao Pagoda to kill Lin Ling. But because of this, they missed the best opportunity. Chapter 53-46. You have some strength, but it's still not enough for this old man. The goat god's figure suddenly grew taller, and a white lightning whip appeared in his hand. Thunder roared. He didn't do anything. He simply slashed down at Lin Ling, and the lightning whip smashed down on Lin Ling like thunder. Ruler. Lin Ling laughed coldly. This was the first time he had fought against a sovereign realm expert. Lin Ling wouldn't have dared to fight him head-on when he had just arrived at the 7th floor. But now, he wanted to see how strong a ruler was. The sword of faith appeared in his hand, and he mobilized all his strength to resist the lightning whip. Lin Ling, do you need my help? Seeing this, Ning Qingxin immediately shouted. I don't need this old goat's help. Lin Ling replied. His words infuriated the goat god. Where did this brat come from? He was too arrogant. The lightning whip and Lin Ling's sword of faith collided, and a terrifying force swept through Three God City. The goat god's lightning was ancient, and his godly body seemed to be of a very high grade. Lin Ling used all his strength, but it was still difficult for him to resist. Of course, to the goat god, this young man was too strong. He was a ruler, but he couldn't kill the other party. One had to know that this was already the second time. The first time, he relied on a treasure to protect his body. But this time, it wasn't because of the treasure. Who is this young man? Why does he have such a mysterious and extraordinary strength? He can block my ruler's strength with just a deity realm middle stage cosmos giant god. The goat god's hair danced, and his face was ferocious. What a powerful brat. In the distance, the deer god and the tiger god frowned. They didn't act because they didn't think the young man was a match for the goat god. But now, it seemed that even if the goat god was stronger, he would still need a long time to kill the young man. Goat god, I'll help you. The tiger god suddenly roared. His body became huge, and his head became a tiger's head. He held a huge saber in his hand and strolled toward Lin Ling. He also had the strength of a ruler, and he was the strongest of the three gods. Shameless! Seeing that the tiger deity was helping her, Ning Qingxin also shouted. Colorful lights appeared on her palm. They didn't look big, but they were mixed with a mysterious power. Her figure disappeared on the spot and suddenly appeared in front of the tiger god. Little girl, you're courting death too. The tiger god bellowed in disdain. The giant tiger blade slashed down. This seemingly simple slash was actually mixed with the ancient power of the Great Path. Boom! Space continued to collapse, and more than half of the entire three-god city was destroyed. However, what shocked everyone was that the seemingly delicate woman was actually able to block the tiger god's attack. These people are so powerful. They can even fight against sovereigns. Although that young man's cultivation level is low, he has a mysterious power. That woman's cultivation level doesn't seem low. That's a sovereign. Voices of discussion continued to float out. Lei Gong and the others heard the voice from afar, and their expressions changed drastically. Ning Qingxin had actually reached the sovereign realm? Big brother, second brother, let me help you. Seeing that the tiger deity and the goat deity were unable to gain any advantage, the deer deity roared. Suddenly, 5 rays of light appeared on his body. They represented the most ancient power of the 5 elements in the universe. The power of the 5 elements transformed into 5 giant pearls that circled around him. Then, the deer deity suddenly raised his hand, and the 5 elements pearls transformed into a necklace that flew towards Lin Ling. In the deer deity's opinion, as long as he killed the young man, the remaining woman was no longer a concern. Let's attack too. Since the other party had shamelessly joined forces, Lei Gong and the others stopped watching the show. They all activated the power of the world's consciousness to fight against the 5 elements pearls. There were many experts among them. Not only did they have the host body of the world's consciousness, but they also had Qing Zhu and Nua's inheritance, Yu Yu, and Xingyi's Donghuang Bell. They actually managed to block the 5 elements pearls. In the sky, the 5 elements pearls, which carried the most ancient power of the universe, collided with the various powers and was actually stopped in midair. Such a confrontation shocked the people of Three God City once again. No one had expected this group of people to be so powerful. Even the 3 sovereigns of Three God City were no match for them. What are you all still looking at? Kill them all. The 3 gods were flustered and exasperated. They then ordered the gods around them to help. After all, they could see that the current situation was only a draw. If others joined in, the balance would definitely tip. Kid, do you think you can stop us with just your people? What a joke. Three God City has been able to survive on the 7th level for so many years. How can we not have some ability? The goat deity sneered when he saw the gods around him getting restless. At the same time, the other gods charged over. The 3 gods had a lot of connections on the 7th level. Anyone who knew them came to help. On the other hand, the gods of the Colosseum of Gods did not casually interfere. Are you afraid? The goat deity's face was ferocious. How dare you kill Fairy Hai Yao? I won't let you leave this city alive. Comparing numbers? Lin Ling suddenly sneered. That's right. I have more people than you. What can you do to me? The goat deity said coldly. Sorry, but I've never been afraid of anyone when it comes to numbers. Lin Ling released the square prison. This was his ultimate trump card. A ray of light shot out from his body and turned into a square stone tablet. Then, a large number of gods rushed out and pounced on the gods around him. What is this? Impossible. How can you have so many experts with you? The goat deity was dumbfounded. He had just said that they would compete in numbers, but this young man had called out numbers that were not inferior to his. If not, I still have more. Lin Ling released another square prison. The total number of people in the two prisons instantly exceeded the number of gods invited by the three gods. Most importantly, the gods who came out of the square prison were not weak. Oh my, why are there so many gods? Everyone use your full strength. The gods who wanted to help were also extremely depressed. Lin Ling, I didn't expect you to come to the 7th level. Suddenly, the sky was illuminated by Buddhist light. Then, an old monk with long white eyebrows floated there. He stared at Lin Ling and then at the square prison. There was obvious surprise in his eyes. Seal. He threw out a string of Buddhist prayer beads and used the chaos to envelop Lin Ling. Dipankara Buddhist God. At this moment, Qing Zhu and the others saw who it was. They did not expect Dipankara Buddhist God to suddenly appear at this critical moment. One had to know that this magnate was supposed to be on the 8th level. This bald donkey. Lin Ling's expression changed drastically. If Dipankara Buddhist God had appeared earlier, he could have taken precautions. Who knew that this despicable Buddhist God would suddenly appear and attack without warning? Now, even if Lin Ling wanted to summon the other two square prisons, it was clearly too late. Coupled with the goat deity's obstruction, Lin Ling could only watch as the Buddhist prayer beads enveloped him. A Buddhist chant rang in Lin Ling's mind. Surprisingly, the prayer beads did not cause any substantial damage. Instead, they disappeared into Lin Ling's body. Amitabha, I have planted a Buddhist seed in your body. In time, you will definitely convert to Buddhism. In the sky, Dipankara Buddhist God suddenly laughed. Chapter 53-47. The Buddhist voice floated in Lin Ling's mind. He could feel a pure power exploring his body, as if a bandit had invaded. Brother Guangchengzi, Brother Monkey, help me! Lin Ling shouted, letting Guangchengzi and the others fight the goat god. He then focused on resisting the power in his body. Get lost! Lin Ling activated the world's willpower and cut off the mysterious power in his body. As for his sword of faith, there was nothing it couldn't slash. That power was split into two, but it was like an earthworm, fleeing in all directions before fusing together again. So troublesome! Lin Ling tried to use the Lin Ling universe to seal the power again. However, he still failed. The power was not sealed by the Lin Ling universe. This meant that only the sword of faith could harm it. The power was righteous, and it began to rush toward Lin Ling's soul power. Lin Ling finally knew that he was in trouble. He could not allow the power to invade his soul. Otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable. He quickly placed the sword of faith in front of his soul. When the power approached, he slashed. Fearful of the sword of faith, the power abandoned the soul and wandered around the body again. Finally, it locked onto a dantian and disappeared without a trace. The Buddhist seed disappeared into the realm-swallowing beast's dantian. Could it be that it wants to absorb something from me? Lin Ling was shocked. After carefully sensing it, he couldn't find that power at all. Seal the realm-swallowing beast's dantian. Lin Ling had no choice but to scatter the world's willpower around the dantian to prevent any changes. Then, he retreated and watched the fierce battle in Three God City. Why do you have so many strong people? At this moment, the goat god was being suppressed by Guangchengzi and could not fight back. The tiger god was being suppressed by Brother Monkey. The tiger god was being beaten by the giant stick until he screamed. At this moment, they finally knew how terrifying Lin Ling and the others were. They could easily destroy Three God City. Lin Ling, what did you release? Ning Qingxin was also shocked. She had not seen Lin Ling for many years. How did Lin Ling become so mysterious? Looking at the gods in Three Gods City, they were also being suppressed by the square prison. Everyone was in a panic and did not dare to fight anymore. Lin Ling stood in the sky, his burning eyes staring at Dipankara Buddha in the sky. Similarly, Dipankara Buddha God was also looking at Lin Ling. There was an additional coldness in his eyes on his benevolent face. He obviously did not expect Lin Ling to come to the 7th level, and he did not expect Lin Ling's strength to increase so much. Originally, he thought that when he saw Lin Ling again, he would be able to capture Lin Ling alive. However, Lin Ling had released a large number of powerhouses, which made him realize that it was impossible. Is that the square prison? Dipankara Buddha muttered to himself. Dipankara Buddha. At this moment, Lin Ling's cold voice floated over. Amit Ba. Dipankara Buddha put his palms together and shouted, Demon Lin Ling, on behalf of the universe, I will redeem you. You already have a Buddhist seed in your body. When the Buddhist seed grows bigger, you will definitely convert to Buddhism. Lin Ling was furious. This hypocritical old man had used his battle with Goat God to plant a Buddhist seed in his body. He guessed the power of the Buddhist seed. It should be a time bomb. It would grow with time and eventually devour Lin Ling. At that time, Lin Ling would no longer be Lin Ling. He would definitely be controlled by Dipankara Buddha. Kill him. Lin Ling gave the order to the square prison. Countless gods rushed into the sky and attacked Dipankara Buddha. Dipankara Buddha's eyes searched. He put his palms together and silently chanted Buddhist mantras. He wanted to use karma to infect these gods. He was also the host of the world will and was ranked 2nd. His world will was extremely powerful. However, there were too many gods around, and they were all extremely ancient experts. In addition, Dipankara Buddha did not appear here in his true body. His true body had already reached the 8th level. Under the siege of so many experts, Dipankara Buddha could not resist at all. His body burned like flames. However, he gave Lin Ling an enigmatic smile. It was as if he was saying, it doesn't matter if my clone dies, but you, Lin Ling, will convert to Buddhism sooner or later. Lin Ling watched Dipankara Buddha disappear. His expression was still ugly. He looked at Three Gods City again. This place had already been destroyed. All the gods had fled far away. They were all pale with fear. Only the 3 gods were still desperately resisting. They gathered together and roared. Lin Ling walked toward the 3 gods and said coldly, We wanted to leave before, but you didn't allow us. Now we won't leave. Your Excellency, we were wrong. The 3 gods finally felt regret, especially the Goat God. He did not even dare to look at Yihan. They had stayed on the 7th level for a long time and were very familiar with the various factions. The ones who appeared before them were the people of the White Mountain, Burning Heart, and Burning Heart Divine Gates. They were the 8 great gods of the Chaos Realm. They were not people they could provoke. However, this young man still dared to kill such a huge monster. This showed how terrifying his background was. You can leave. We won't pursue this matter. The Tiger God said nervously. After he finished speaking, he glared at the Goat God. It was this guy who had provoked such a powerful enemy for Fairy Hai Yao. You didn't understand what I said, did you? I said that we won't leave. Your 3 Gods City belongs to me, Lin Ling. Lin Ling said coldly. He had been planted with the Buddha seed, and the 3 gods said that they would not pursue this matter. Did they think Lin Ling was an idiot? Kill them. Lin Ling ordered. Your Excellency, please don't. We know all the great gods. The Tiger God roared crazily, but the gods in the prison paid no attention to him. They worked together and suppressed the Tiger God. When the Tiger God died, he immediately turned into a huge yellow tiger. Next was the Goat God and the Deer God. They were a white goat and a green old deer respectively. Burn their bodies. Lin Ling was furious when he saw the 3 beasts. He then searched the corpses and found 3 brocade pouches filled with countless treasures. Map. Lin Ling took out the map of the 3 gods and copied it. Then, he threw the map to Lei Gong and the others. It had to be said that the maps of the 3 gods were very large and detailed. For example, there were divine beasts nearby, treasures and dangers. Everything was clear at a glance. From now on, Three God City is Lin Ling's territory. Do you accept it? Lin Ling looked at the gods in the distance and said, "Whatever you say, Your Excellency." Yes, it doesn't matter if it's Three God City or any other city, as long as there's someone guarding it. We don't have any objections. To them, it did not matter who was the ruler of this area. The main thing was that there was holy light in this area, which could prevent divine beasts from approaching. If there was a Colosseum of gods, they would be able to obtain the map that they wanted. Let's set up camp here. Lin Ling looked at Yu and the others. They would be chased by divine beasts if they fled outside. It was undoubtedly better to have a home.